Once the drawing is ready, I can start with the painting. I am going to use acrylic paints. The first step will be done with watercolor techniques. I'm going to moisten the entire surface of the canvas, moisten the acrylics, and paint with different colors, yellow, blue, red, brown, to give us a base that gives us the main shapes. I was commissioned with a painting. They wanted a painted representation of this art piece with the Russian illustrator and conceptual artist Alexander Mokov, which is in a Magic the Gathering game card. Magic the Gathering is a collectible and strategic game card created by Wizards of the Coast in 1993. Players take on the role of powerful magicians, known as planeswalkers, who use decks of cards to summon creatures, cast spells, and defeat their opponents by reducing their total lives to 0 or achieving other victory conditions. Honestly, before this commission, I had never heard about this game. I hope I'm not offending fans, but after some research, I can declare myself a fan of the art of these cards. Galadriel's image seems quite complex, but it actually isn't. The most complex part is Galadriel's face and the many layers that make up both the character and the background. Achieving that depth is one of the challenges in this painting. Of course, though simple, every part in this illustration is very well done. Alexander Mokov is an incredible artist, and the only thing I can expect is that my representation captures its essence and that the character can be recognized. In the vast majority of the image, I am working with very transparent washes to create very thin layers that create an overlay effect, and with this, show depth in the painting. I made this with a flat brush, with a fairly fluid paint. This is something that can also be done in digital painting by lowering the opacity in the brush or setting it up to generate this transparency with the pressure of the pencil. Of course, I can't just do everything with such soft layers. That's why, at this point, I must start adding more contrast and extra depth through contact shadows. With this, I'm going to separate the layers even more, showing what goes above and what goes below. The color in this shadow is very important to achieve a natural but stylized effect. These shadows were not made with black paint. In fact, I didn't use pure black in the whole process. The color you see here is a combination of burnt umber and phthalo blue.
Phthalo blue is a very nice color,
which is the classic way to create shadows. The use of pure black in any picture, whether with traditional or digital paint, must be done with great care. Of course, depending on the style. Something to note in this illustration is how the artist concentrated most of the detail in a very small area that consists of the top of the character: face, hair, torso, and hands. That's why we're going to bring the most detail there. This is what we should do in any of our illustrations. We call this focal point. This focal point is where we want the viewer to focus. In this case, being a card, you want to look quickly at the character and quickly recognize the face and some distinctive characteristics. That's why, in addition to contrast and detail, the artists use different tricks to take our attention there. Look at the use of plastic lines that take us to this point. To bring even more detail, I was working to create areas with a lot of light so that the contrast, especially in the upper area, is more evident. Again, creating layers, in this case less transparent. As a general rule in my work, I feel that before reaching the final details of the focal point, in this case the character, everything else must be ready or almost ready. For this, I had to work on a part that I had ignored for almost the entire process. For a very simple reason, I really don't like painting vegetation, and when I do, I don't like it to be very normal. I like to stylize it at least a little. I try to make the colors look natural. For this, I use the combination of greens with browns for the darkest green, and a combination of greens with yellow and ochre for the lightest green. Then use different color combinations to create more pink, red, blue, and white hues for the flowers. All this was done using my flat brush. Now let's go straight to the face. Although I had already done a pre-shading of the face, which has my main shadows, that was done quickly and without much attention to detail. I was only trying to give a little shape to different surfaces of the face. But now we do want to detail the best we can. That is not an easy process, especially because of the size of the piece, which is 22.5 by 30.5 centimeters. To give you an idea, the total height of the face is about 2 centimeters and the width is less than 1.5 centimeters. Each line should be made very precisely, and I don't even think I made it completely accurate in all areas. I even tried to use a magnifying glass, but it felt too uncomfortable. So I kept going with my bare eyes. After all the dark areas, I wanted to reinforce some areas of light on her face, her hair, and some parts of her dress to add some edges that help to better understand the forms. Of course, we must not neglect any area of our picture, so that there is cohesion, that each part is seen as belonging to a whole. If you like the video, I invite you to like it, to subscribe, but most importantly, share it with someone who can find this content useful. See you in the next video. Adios.